Welcome to Loans Elevated, the podcast that brings you the latest industry news, expert interviews, and insightful discussions that will help you stay ahead in this dynamic market. I'm your host, Broch and I've spent years in the trenches of the mortgage industry, helping individuals and businesses navigate the complex landscape of real estate financing.
I'm your co-host, TJ Heidenreich, and together we'll cover a wide range of topics, from business strategies that skyrocket your success to mindset and motivation that fuel your growth.
All right, welcome back to the next episode and the new season 2 of Loans Elevated. In this new season, we are going to do our best to bring value in a different way. We'll still bring tips and tricks on mortgages and how to hack financing, but we're going to add a lot into business and life hacks just in general, and also bring guests on that can bring value to all of these things, whether it's making money or hacking your business or your life to help you be more effective. So we're excited for season 2. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we would love any feedback that you have. But without further ado, we dive into today's episode for our first business and life hack.
Yeah, for sure. So we go absolutely ham with our calendars. And I think your calendar is the first step to becoming a high achiever. And the topic is to plan your time in order to power your life. Because at the end of the day, we're all slaves to our calendars. And if our calendar is all jumbled up, then we're all jumbled up throughout the day. But if our calendar is clear and concise, our day is clear and concise from the time you wake up, from the time you go to bed. Would you agree?
100%.
So I think it starts with we call them big rocks. Where'd you get big rocks from? Stephen Covey? Was that Stephen Covey?
Yeah, it was. And it's funny. I'll explain this concept because I experienced big rocks with an example from a college professor when I was going to school. And it was some business class, but he basically gave this concept of big rocks and said, all right, I've got this bucket and I have this sand and I have these rocks and I have these pebbles and I have this can of beer. And he said, okay, if I start with the sand, all the small stuff. So if I let all of the crap control my day, the traffic on the freeway, or I snooze the alarm clock and I go crazy trying to rush to the office, that's the sand. If I allow those uncontrollable little things to fill my day first, well, when I try to add the big rocks and then the small rocks, the pebbles, they can't even fit within the jar, let alone get a beer on top for the end of the day. However, if
the big rocks, those are like your phone calls, meeting with clients, and just the stuff that needs to happen throughout the day in order for you to make money.
In a business concept, yes. Yeah. I mean, big rocks for us is actually running kind of our KPIs in the business,
right.
Or we call them smoke detectors. So in the business, what is happening that is critical? There's certain categories of critical things. So that's sales activity. That's any smoking files that need attention now before they turn into an inferno and consume our entire day or entire week. So it's being proactive and handling those big things that you can spend little bits of proactive energy on, and they have profound exponential impact on your business or your life. For people not in business, this could be other life hacks. So my wife, her big rocks would be working with the kids and planning the schedule for the day so she knows what she can fit in for the remainder of the day. Or planning the whole entire summer with summer camps so she knows exactly how she can manage her summer sanely. Those would be big rocks.
Right. So just the big items that need to be done.
Exactly. So planning on those big rocks. But back to the example. If you take the big rocks and put those in the jar first, so you spend time on those first, and then you throw the little rocks in. So these are maybe not as significant as the big rocks, but they're still very important things. Like, for example, we need to have our daily team meeting. I need to have a monthly one-on-one meeting with my team members. Those would be maybe not big rocks, which happen in the daily team meeting itself, but those would be the smaller rocks that have to happen. And if they don't happen, it could create massive issues in my life and my business. Then I add the sand. So once I get all the big rocks and the small rocks out of my way, the sand, no matter what, there's unexpected things that will happen through the day. That stuff can just smack me in the face. And by the end of the day, if I do it in that order, I can still go home and crack a beer and I can fit it all in. So that is kind of the idea.
Sand, that's going to be just little stuff like the emails, just the little stuff that trickles and you just need to take care of.
And even the stuff that's unexpected.
Right.
Like emails are expected, but there could be something unexpected come up.
Right.
As long as you get your big rocks done first and your small rocks, all the crap, which is the sand, the stuff that just comes your way and kind of robs your time.
Right.
You can still fit it in. And at the end of the day.
For sure. Well, I think it's important too to have it on your calendar. I was last semester in college. I had this huge paper that was due. I think it was like a 15-page paper, like a college student does. I procrastinated the day before it was due. I hadn't written a single sentence, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it all done right. I took the day off work. I'm like, I'm just gonna write out this paper, be done. Halfway through the day, not a single sentence. And bear in mind, I took off work, so I'm not doing anything at this point. A couple hours later, still nothing done. At this point, I only have about 4 hours before I need to go to bed and then turn this paper in the next day to get the graded to the end of the semester. So I'm like, okay, jam through the whole entire thing in one sitting, just
in 4 hours.
Yeah, just cram through it. And I remember after just being exhausted, it's probably spelling errors everywhere, grammatically incorrect, but I got it done. And so that's what my huge learning lesson for Parkinson's Law is making sure we're getting it all done and giving ourselves a time. Rather than just giving ourselves the whole day to get it done, we're going to wait until the very last minute. It's human nature to get that done.
I want to look up
Parkinson's Law
so we can
look
say
at the
it
definition.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, read that off.
So it says the work will expand to fill the time allotted. So what that means, if you don't actually set a timeline, he did for the day, and it got done that day. But had he said it has to be done in 4 hours,
I would have got it done in 4 hours.
Well, he didn't get it
exactly,
done in 4 hours. Because the deadline came up. But the work will expand to fill the time allotted. So it's important. We're spending time on these big rocks and these small rocks, all these things, but it's important that you set timelines. Just like when you're setting goals in life, you need to have a deadline in place so that you actually accomplish it, and it's not just this fallacy or this idea. You have to set the time. Otherwise, if it's an unlimited time, then the work will fill that unlimited time. So Parkinson's Law. Now let's just go into that's kind of the philosophical ideas to it.
Right.
Let's dive into now like some tactical stuff here.
For sure. So it starts with having the same start and end time every single day. So and it's a system and it's really routine.
We call that bookending your day.
Yep, exactly. So I start at the same time every single day at 8 a.m. I know I'm getting into the office and I'm doing the same things every time. I'm checking my email. I'm seeing what didn't get done from the day before, what needs to get done today, and start really creating my to-do list. And then at the end of the day, I'm checking email again, making sure there's nothing crazy that's on my plate that didn't get done. If there was stuff that didn't get done, I'm pushing it to tomorrow, making sure it's in the calendar. And that way it bookends, like you said, every time.
So warm up and wrap up each day.
Yep. Same time, same start, same end.
Same start, same end is ideal, but it could just be the same start and same end in the day.
For the day, right. It's like your Mondays, you're coming at this time and you're leaving at this time. But say maybe on Wednesdays, you have a later day. So you're coming in at 10 and you're leaving at 7 or 8 p.m. at night.
So you could modify that. But one important thing for those of you with a team is during that warm-up and wrap-up, TJ said he's basically identifying like what's coming his way that he didn't see last night, creating a to-do list. But when you dive into your team meeting, which is the next thing that comes up in our days, right after warm-up, now I've got this list of things that I can delegate off to the team to get done so my clients and my partners are taken care of. But then I'm more on point to go do what I'm supposed to do, which is sell. That's my job on the team. So it's a very perfect way to identify what is it that you can delegate and get off your plate in that warm-up and wrap-up at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. Eliminate things off of your to-do list so you can be more effective through the day. Now dive into the next thing.
Yeah, so next thing, this is probably the most important and my favorite thing is making sure every thing that goes in your calendar, every item has to have a color. It has to be color-coded to see where you're at. That way, if I quickly glance at my calendar, I know what I'm doing. So we theme it as green, red, and gold. So your green, that's going to be time that you're making money. That's going to be prospecting, making calls, meeting with clients, anything that you're doing in your specific field to make and generate money. Red time, that's the important activities that have to get done and they're super necessary for your business, but you're not making money. That's meeting with the team. That's checking email. That's just the stuff that has to get done throughout the day. And then the last and the most important is gold. That's time with the family or with yourself.
To refill your cup.
Exactly. Refill your cup to get it going.
And the only thing I would say is green can just be progress making activities. So if you're in a role in your life that you're not making money per se, you're not selling like TJ and I are. green needs to, you got to be moving the needle. Red is
Right.
where you have
Whatever.
meetings and you're planning and doing these things.
Yeah.
The green time is like actual execution time to move the needle. And then gold was perfect.
Well, and one thing that I struggled with at first is, maybe you too, is I'm such a yes man. I want to say yes to everyone and get everyone in my calendar, but then I get bogged down. Stuff takes longer than I thought. And so I had to boil it down to 3 simple categories. Does this appointment make me money, save me money, or bring me joy? And if it doesn't fit in those 3 things, it's not going on the calendar. I can say no. I'm empowered to say no to people if it's not going to fit, or if I need to push it off. Because what I would do is
into it. I mean, that's nice.
And I wouldn't obey my calendar earlier on, and I'd be like, oh no, I'll stay later at this time, and I'll do my wrap up, and then I'll do this appointment. And it screwed up everything because I wasn't at home on time. And
then you're grumpy because it's a compounding effect. If you let this, if you don't basically obey the calendar, your life gets all out of sorts, and it's a compounding issue, either positive or negative.
Right.
If I'm around my kids and I'm at home consistently, I'm a much happier human being. They're much happier. The wife is everything is much better. But if I'm 30, 40 minutes late every day and I'm a little bit more exhausted and I'm a little bit more stressed and I'm a little bit more rushed, it's a compounding issue. So there are issues. Now, the last and final major takeaway is theming your blocks of time. So you want to chunk the day. So it goes very much with red, green, and gold. But essentially, we'll give you an example of how our days work. From 8 until 11 is when TJ and I have red time. That means we get in the office and we're doing the stuff that is not making us money, but we have to get it done every single day. 8 to 11. Remember, we're setting a timeline here because of Parkinson's law. If we didn't set a timeline, it would just absorb our entire day. So 8 to 11 is that. Then we go 11 until 5 is our green time. So that's sales time. We're either meeting with a client, we're making sales calls, we're hosting an event, we're meeting with a business partner, something like that from 11 till 5. And then from 5 to 5:30, we have wrap up. So that's considered red. And then we are home with family, and that's gold time. But what you notice is we're doing all the stuff that's red and team-oriented stuff that has to happen. It's not making us money. Exactly. Yeah. Stacking that first thing, getting it out of our hair, then sales, all of it stacked. So even to the point where all the calls are stacked in a certain period of time. And then after calls are done, then we have the availability within our green time block to meet with clients or partners. So we're stacking calls, and we don't want to go from like a team meeting to a phone call to a meeting back to another team meeting. You see, we want to keep
and we do that to stay focused too, because I think there's some sort of stat out there. If switching tasks, it takes like 15 minutes to get from that task to the new task you're doing. Well, if it's all in green time and we're just switching a different call list, or if we're having the same conversation but from a phone call to in person, we're not really switching tasks. That way we are really time efficient. Same thing with meetings. You're already in that flow, and you don't really have to switch it up. Switch off. It's a different part of your brain you're using.
Staying in flow, and it's a different part of your brain when we're meeting with team, or when we're trying to execute on paperwork or emails or whatever. So those are the tactics. Hopefully this was valuable. If you have any questions about time blocking for TJ or I in more depth than this, it's something that I've studied for the past like 15 years. TJ studied the whole time he's been in the industry, and we are like militant with this. So we would love to help you. We have, I'm sure, a lot more strategies that could help your personal situation beyond what we talked about here, but please hit us up. We'd love to help.
Thank you for tuning in. For more industry insights, follow us on all platforms at Loans Elevated.
And to get in touch with our team, call or text 801-713-4000 or visit loanselevated.com.